I do think that if just enough Haley supporters don't vote, especially the suburban women, that could hurt him in some battleground states. I'm thinking of Pennsylvania, where the share of Haley voters was more than the 80,000 that Biden won in 2020. And I should say, the thing I find interesting is, yes, Biden has been trying to reach out to Haley supporters, but I did have a Haley supporter who basically told me, no, they don't want her or her supporters voting for Biden. That's not what they want either. So we'll have to see what she does, because I think at some point, especially either if not before the convention, but at the convention, I do think we're going to need to see Haley come out and say, I'm for Trump, or at least publicly say, don't vote for Biden.
Welcome to Reporter's Notebook, where we talk to the Washington Examiner's top journalists about the stories breaking on their beats. I'm Jim Antle, and I'm joined today by national political correspondent Mabinty Quarshie. Mabinty, Nikki Haley has dropped out of the Republican presidential race quite some time ago, but she made a little bit of a comeback in Indiana.
Yeah, so it's been 2 months since she's left the race, and she pulled 22% of the vote in Indiana, and that vote share is her highest total since she's exited the race. It wasn't the highest amount of votes, but the total share, it was the highest, which is surprising, but also a sign that maybe Trump might want to reconsider trying to break the ice with Nikki Haley, or at least pulling over her voters. I think we've talked about this before, but he's broken the ice with Governor Ron DeSantis, and it might be time to do that with Nikki Haley, although as of right now, the two have still not spoken, and Haley is reportedly doing a donor retreat over the weekend, so maybe some news will come out of that, maybe not.
I mean, the Biden campaign has been trying to appeal to her voters. Haley herself has not endorsed Trump yet or endorsed anyone in the presidential race. Suburban women were obviously a problem for Trump in 2020. So, you know, is this a sign that Trump really hasn't unified the party yet?
Well, I do think the party is mostly unified against Trump. I mean,
for Trump.
Yeah, unified for Trump. But I do think that if just enough Haley supporters don't vote, especially the suburban women, that could hurt him in some battleground states. I'm thinking of Pennsylvania, where the share of Haley voters was more than the 80,000 that Biden won in 2020. And I should say, the thing I find interesting is, yes, Biden has been trying to reach out to Haley supporters, but I did have a Haley supporter who basically told me, no, they don't want her or her supporters voting for Biden. That's not what they want either. So we'll have to see what she does, because I think at some point, especially either if not before the convention, but at the convention, I do think we're going to need to see Haley come out and say, I'm for Trump, or at least publicly say, don't vote for Biden.
Right. So there's another battleground state, or at least it's been a battleground state in the past, where Biden has kind of an unusual problem. You've written a story about this. What's going on with his ballot access in Ohio?
Yeah, so I want to say, so in Ohio, Biden will technically not be on the ballot as of right now, but it's this like obscure election law where the Secretary of State's office requires both candidates from the major parties to certify their nomination 90 days before the convention. And so the DNC is August 19th, but the deadline for Ohio certification is August 7th, so that's 12 days after. So technically Biden isn't on the ballot. However, the state legislature could have passed an emergency measure to get Biden on the ballot. They did not, and the deadline is Thursday.
It's a Republican-controlled legislature, right?
Yeah. And so the issue is that Republicans, they want to pass this law that not only gets Biden back on the ballot, but would ban foreign investments in state ballot measures. House Democrats don't want that. They did not take up the bill. We don't know what's going to happen, because they don't have any sessions for today. And, you know, the Secretary of State's office is basically like, if we don't have it, he's not getting on the ballot. Although Biden's campaign said we will be on all 50 states. So this might actually become a lawsuit if things don't get squared away.
So one other area where Trump and Biden are really battling it out is in terms of raising money. And Biden's had a big cash advantage. Trump is trying to eat into that. What's the status of the fundraising wars?
Yeah, so Donald Trump had this very, exclusive GOP donor retreat in Palm Beach, Florida over the weekend, and his campaign put out that they are expected to raise more than $76 million in April, which is more than the $65.6 million they raised in March. So a moment ago I mentioned that the party is unifying against Trump, and we're seeing this with the mega donors. They're coming around, they're backing him. When he met with DeSantis, out of that meeting, it seems that DeSantis donors are going to back Trump. And so I do think that as we get closer and closer to the election, Trump's finances are going to get closer and closer to Biden. The Biden campaign, however, wants to make sure that they're dominating Trump. So to, steal the national thunder, they released or announced a 30 million ad blitz in May where they're going to be, running ads in like all of the battleground states. So again, the money wars are heating up, but the Trump campaign, especially with the New York trial over the hush money payments, that's allowing them to raise more money, and we're going to see increased totals for Trump.
And Trump has always been pretty good at taking advantage of free media opportunities.
Yes, and he's also made it very clear it's his party now, and if you want a future in the GOP, you need to get behind him, and you need to give some funds.
It's his party. He'll cry, or you'll cry if he wants you to. Thank you, Mabinty.
Thank you.
You can read Mabinty and the rest of our political team's coverage at washingtonexaminer.com.